Hey everyone, welcome to Hunting for Silver Linings. Today is Thursday, January 14 here in the Great Lakes region of the United States. I'm in Michigan. We have George. You're in Atlanta, correct? Atlanta,
That's
Georgia.
correct. Yes.
And Fernando, our special guest, whose bio changes so fast, I'm not going to even tell you where he's from. Fernando, you're in LA currently, or where are you on the planet?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm in Los Angeles.
Very good. We were just getting caught up and we were talking about some of our history, and we have some shared history with education. I taught high school for a year. George here is a professor and a teacher for a very long time. And then let's listen to a little bit about your personal bio background and passions and what led you to community building and then also tech.
All right. Well, it first started, for all these years. Well, first and foremost, thank you so much for having me on. It's an absolute honor and pleasure and privilege. I've seen what you've done. It's incredible. The Startup Grind community is amazing. And I really am grateful for the opportunity. On me, oh gosh, my story starts with, I guess, the concept that I found out that I was a community art organizer after putting together events for over 22 years. I never tried to be one. I just became that. Since my high school days, we put together transformative events that affected the whole community. I could get very deep into the weeds with that one. And it's often difficult for me to share this story because I get choked up. So I've been putting together events, usually at the elementary schools and the high schools and the middle schools. My largest was 4,000 individuals in the city of Huntington Park, California. By the time I did my last school, it was a small school, a charter school in Los Angeles. It had a population of about 300. And we put together an event that was 700, 800 participants. We had the local politicians, state representatives, police representation, businesses from all throughout the neighborhood. This was a school that wasn't supposed to. It provided a sounding board. And since then, I've continued. And all the while, I was always interested in tech, or at least the business, the world of business, but seeing myself as a teacher didn't make the connection. Then I actually, when I transitioned, at one point I thought that I should make a transition toward social work, and went into it. Didn't like what I was seeing. People were okay with students just remaining in the system. And it was disgusting because, you know, some of the kids, they never make it out. One of my tightest relationship was with a kid that actually turned on one of his roommates and killed him. So we got 30 years right off the bat. He's never really been a free man. Last time he was free, he was 10 years old. So that was just too much for me. And I was better off in the world where children were free and they could actually have those aha moments. That's another story. Oh gosh, I'm almost getting lost in my own thoughts. And so anyhow, when I transitioned from that job to back to teaching, I found myself at the bottom of the pay scale, and I have a family, so I started Ubering. And in Ubering, I discovered this thing called Silicon Beach, and it was at its nascent. And so I came around to asking some of my rides, you know, what is this Silicon Beach thing? I mean, why isn't it up there in Northern California? And the guy told me, well, it's the apps market. Yeah. And I said, hello.
Beauty. Silicon Beach is great. And they got the dojo there and everything.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And so what I did was I asked him, why here, why not there? And he told me it's the apps market. And so a light bulb came on. I turned to my family members in Latin America. My family is originally from Costa Rica, and asked them what they had on their phones. and they told me the same 5, 4, 6 apps over and over again. It was a banking app, it was a WhatsApp, it was Facebook, and 2 others I always forget. And so the light bulb turned on because I would see little ones like that get a toy from, say, McDonald's, or even my own daughters. They would get a toy from McDonald's. They would turn the toy over, automatically look for the app that went with the toy, put the toy down, and go right at it. And so I said, there's something here. These kids have already adapted to the idea of the world of apps, the world of having technology at hand. And the kids back in Latin America didn't have that for themselves. There was no connection to the local world. And so I took it upon myself to build that connection. And so I started going to one of the longest running meetups in the Silicon Beach area, which is Santa Monica New Tech meetup. They've been going for about, I think it's 9 or 10 years now. They've had really great companies come through there. I've made many connections through that group. And then I started working with the International Business Accelerator, bringing them startups. And oh gosh, I mean, on LinkedIn, 4 years ago, if you would ask me who was on how many people I had on my LinkedIn, I had the same 65 people. It was a couple of coworkers, a couple of guys from high school, and like 3 or 4 random friends, and that was it. And I never used it. I was a teacher, and so I started really getting into the LinkedIn scene and trying to be of service to folks and making connections everywhere I went. And now my network is vast. It's huge. I've made friends with people in startup grind Chile. When they came up to the Redwood City conference 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago, I joined up with them, and wow, I saw what it was, and it was just incredible. And so now I'm working with Faster Capital, International Business Accelerator. Last night, Equi Angels. So it's gathering steam all over the place. And one of the most difficult things as a startup, as a founder, I'm really good at making connections with people and just always trying to get something going for them, because I want to see it happen. I want to be witness to the miracle or to the magic. And what was always difficult as a teacher was charging, because I always did it for free. And so
before I hire you, can you talk to me more? Can you talk to us a little bit more about magic? What is magic?
The magic, oh my goodness. The magic of seeing a company go from ideation, dream to formation. That's the magic. That's the magic. And of course, it's not really magic at all. It's a lot of pain. It's a birthing process. And it takes a lot of patience, a lot of love, a lot of self-love. You have to forgive yourself. You're going to step on toes. People are not going to understand you. What I found was that when I called my company Aplicando Nuestras Energías, which is applying our energies, because I thought I was going to be attacking the apps market at first. And now what I've gone into more is the business development area and becoming a bridge for desperate communities and areas of need. My approach has always been, or remains, the secondary markets of Latin America. So I'm going to Guatemala, I'm going to El Salvador, I'm going to the Colombias and the other countries before I go to Mexico, before I go to Brazil and Argentina's. Not that I'm against those communities, because even in those communities, there's secondary markets. But there's needs all over, and that's what I'm there to serve. So I'm trying to create that magic.
Thank you. That's absolutely amazing. Amazing. So you started by organizing community events. You moved over to looking for apps. You are now bridging innovation and growth between the, so to speak, the Silicon Valley and the emerging communities around Latin America.
Mm-hmm.
You're a matchmaker and you're becoming a rainmaker.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit more about both sides of the equation, the entrepreneurs that you meet, but also the capital allocators that you meet? And what lessons, that's the first thing. And second is, what lessons, particularly over the last 12 months, have you learned by talking to both innovators, young entrepreneurs, old entrepreneurs, established entrepreneurs, disruptive entrepreneurs, on the one hand, and on the other hand, the capital allocators, the risk takers?
Right. Oh gosh. Please remind me if I hit all, because that was like five or 10 questions in that one question. I love it. Let me start off with what I've learned. I've learned that Los Angeles, for what we have, it's a great startup ecosystem, but it's for seed, pre-seed companies for the most part. And what the beauty of Los Angeles is that we have an established what's the word I'm looking for? The ability to fail first. It's basically the town where people are known to go for a job or to audition to 20 jobs, and they're just waiting for that one chance. And so they have to get themselves back up and try it again and try it again and try it again. And that's what we're known for. And that goes for writers, that goes for directors, that goes for actors and actresses, the whole gamut. And so Los Angeles, based on that, Los Angeles is a great town for the startup ecosystem. What I've also discovered is that if you won't find it here, I'll find it for you somewhere else. And there's where the networking comes in. And so where, yes, we have great, for instance, we'll have great VCs here in Los Angeles, we're not everything. So I believe in, if we don't find it here, let's find it there. So I have connections in the San Francisco Bay Area that, for instance, I've had a couple of fashion companies come to me, and I couldn't find anything for them here, so we found it in New York. I've had a shoe company from Africa, Nigeria, come to me, and I couldn't find it here or in San Francisco, so I found it in New York and connected them. It's just really just developing those relationships. Just this week, it was a magazine. The gentleman, he's done events all over Nigeria. And I connected him to one of the women that is developing an incredible shoe line, or shoe, I guess you would call her a cobbler. She's a trainer of Nigerians that make fine shoes. And she was trained in Italy for 3 or 4 years, and now she's bringing it back to Nigeria. And I put them together because I asked her to put together an event that would celebrate the Nigerian fashion industry, make it the Milan of Africa. And she went ahead, did it, and I told him, hey, look up this woman on LinkedIn. Look at what she's done. Don't you want to put together your forces? Because if she could get this together, because she's got a good name recognition, and then he's got the magazine, and he's got the experience in event space, they could completely blow it up. It's just always looking for those possibilities. And I know I covered about half of your question.
No, absolutely. What you're actually leading to is, first of all, resilience, The system is resilient, and more important than that, there is a frame of mind that is positive, looking for solutions, for answers. What do you see as the driving force in the ecosystem?
The driving force in the ecosystem, well, there'll be those that will always argue that it's money. All right, I mean, we can't escape that. There are those that will argue that it's money, and for certain individuals, you see that. For my driving force is change. What is it? The writings of Raul Prebisch, I think he was a sociology professor out of Brazil. He popularized the notion of la revolución desde abajo, the revolution from below. And so what I've seen is a system basically that has been established and regenerates itself based around the premise that the primary markets are Mexico, Argentina, and Brazil. Everything goes through them, and the secondary markets, we'll get to them later. For instance, for folks that may not know, back in the 1980s, say the release of the movie E.T. E.T. would come out in, I think it was 1982, 1980. Does anyone remember E.T.?
Around that time, early 80s, yes.
Yeah, early 80s, 1982. And it released in the United States, say in December. It wouldn't release until the secondary markets of Mexico till a year later. And then it wouldn't release till Costa Rica for another year or two. So the people in Costa Rica, people in Nicaragua, they wouldn't get the movie until 4 years later. So it was always a lag time. I've spoken to startups in Peru where, oh gosh, what was it? I think it was Intel. Intel came to town, and it was fantastic. And they had workshops and whatnot on entrepreneurism and whatnot and technology, and then they left. And that was it. They never heard from them again, and they were just wondering if they're coming back. So you have all this pent-up energy that needs to go somewhere, and that's what I'm seeing. That's what I want to remedy. Basically, make that funnel a little bit more fluid. And
interesting. So essentially, you want to go beyond the national boundaries and the concept of the large market, and create a big pool where everybody has access in an equal opportunity way, right? Whether you're Colombian, whether you are Argentinian or Costa Rican, you should be able to have access to the same apps, the same opportunities about innovation, about education, and so on and so forth, than the larger markets.
Well,
and whether you live in the favelas or the expensive part of Rio, makes no difference.
The world is the Earth is flat, according to
Friedman.
Paul Friedman, right?
Yep.
Yes. So yes, based on that theory, that's aplicando nuestras energías. And I mean, there's always other theories that accompany that.
What happened in 2020 from your perspective?
In 2020?
Yeah.
Gosh.
How do you essentially quantify the effects of COVID?
COVID was, if it wasn't that, it was going to be the social unrest. We've been in this metamorphosis, cocooning. I mean, for years now. It's 20 years, and we're breaking through. I mean, you look at the turn of the last century, and it was basically a lot of the same. You had revolutions, you had social discomfort with the massive change that was happening in the society, and you're getting it again one more time. It's another the third industrial revolution. And
you
so,
mean, as a social anthropologist, you mean we went from the agrarian revolution to the industrial revolution to the technological revolution, and we're going now into software or artificial intelligence?
we're doing another revolution. I don't know what we're going to term it or label it, but yes, definitely.
Very interesting. Thank you. Thank you. So
Yeah, and socially, I mean, you can look at our children. My daughters are not looking at having families of four. They're thinking about no children or one child at best. So our families are going to be shrinking. You look at the situation in Japan, it's good. I see it here. So so population will flood, will adjust itself. I'm sorry, I'm getting a spam call.
Would you be able to enlighten us a little bit on some of the opportunities that you found or helped curate in 2020? Obviously the pandemic has brought an incredible amount of innovation. And I'm sure that, and I know George and I know that from our conversations from March on, we've had over 100 of them, including, secondary and even like really emerging markets.
Oh yeah.
And it's just powerful, the stories that are coming out of these regions and the innovators that are solving incredible problems. Can you maybe enlighten us and maybe brag a little bit about some of the innovators that you've discovered?
Okay, I just yesterday or 2 days ago, it was a startup out of Chile, and basically they're seeing that office space is in abundance currently, that the going to work 9 to 5, 5 days a week is paradigm is completely shifted. Employers are okay with employees staying at home for most of the week, but there will always be those moments where they need the employees to come together for a client, for a meeting of sorts, for keeping the group cohesive, the team cohesion. And so what they've developed is an app that will allow you to call for a meeting at a certain space. And it might be an office space that used to be a WeWork or whatnot, and you could rent it by the hour or by the day or by the week. So it's not no long-term rents. It's I call it the Uber meets WeWork meets Airbnb. So basically, that's one. Another one is oh gosh, there's a few. There's blockchain everything. Finally there's I can't talk about that. I can't talk about a few of them, but just things in the blockchain space that are being applied to entertainment. There's oh gosh, in sports. So I've been hunting for a blockchain application towards sports that was not gaming, and I found one, and I found it in Latin America, in South America to be more specific, and you could take it from there.
So, like, maybe tell us about this. So you said you went hunting. So people aren't just finding you to make connections and use your network. You're like seeking opportunities in different industries.
Right.
So what's that about? And like,
I'll go to meetups. Now it's a blessing. The fact that we're all doing the meeting up, the social networking online, it allows me access to people around the planet. Just this morning, it was a woman out of Startup Grind, Armenia, and I'll be leading introductions to folks over at Plug and Play. She did. I don't think she knows that Plug and Play is basically an Armenian company in San Francisco Bay, and they're amongst the top 5 accelerators, and very extremely well connected. And I think the Startup Grind Armenia is going to be very happy to meet them. So those types of things occur. Oh gosh, what else? I mean, there's a ton. I'm working with a group out of Dominican Republic. They're constructing. They're doing battery systems for remote populations. And one of the problems that we're having here in Los Angeles is power outages, because they're turning off the grid systems when the Santa Ana winds kick up. And so I brought this one group up from Dominican Republic, and they're going to see some sort of deal flow out of the introductions I gave them. So the minute the guy got off the plane, an empty plane at that, he had appointments in New York, because he and his wife were going to tour New York. I was like, well, you're going to be busy, because I've got quite a few contacts in New York. And I pitched him over to some folks over here in LA and in San Francisco. And that developed all kinds of contacts and what have you. So it's wonderful. Now I'm working on, in the Latino space, connecting Latinos throughout the Midwest. So I'm working with Denver, Utah, and I'll find out who else I could pair up there, just so that they could fortify themselves and not feel so isolated. There's just all kinds of things to be done. Yeah, I could go on and on if you'd like.
It's fascinating that your heart is in the matchmaking business, bringing entrepreneurs and innovators together with capital allocators. Mm-hmm. What are the bigger challenges that you see going forward?
Challenges
and opportunities, of course.
Oh, unfortunately, I don't see too many challenges. I only see opportunities. I'm an optimist.
That is superb. Say that again and loud. That is superb.
Unfortunately, or fortunately, I only see opportunities. I don't see too many challenges at all. Yeah. I could talk to you about this one group out of California. It's one woman. She's no, they don't want me to actually mention names, but one of them comes out of Google. The other one comes out of a historical avionics family, and they're starting up a charter service using e-planes. So as we go into, electric planes. I like George's reaction. So the technology is already there. They've already developed it. They're just waiting for the e-planes to get the certification from the FAA. And so they want to be the first charter system that takes this product to market.
And I assume we're not talking about Cessnas, right? We're not talking about
private charters. So whatever that may entail. I think it might start off like Cessnas and then grow into smaller jets.
Okay, all right. Well, I mean, clearly your perspective is unique because of both your attitude, but also your social anthropology background, in the sense that you see that the tribe is trying to go beyond the limitations imposed by social distancing, by potential death, by whatever these limitations are, right?
Exactly, definitely.
Wonderful, thank you so much. When it comes to investors, what do you see, what is the predominant thought they have in your mind?
With investors, I see different investors want different things. And so what I always tell the startups is don't be shy. You might talk to a room of 100 investors, and so long as you've got the ear of 20 of them, that's a good thing. 20 will listen to you, 80 won't. That's fine. But also within that set of 20, all of them are at different stages of their own investment. So a good deal of them might be in the middle of major projects and they don't have space for you within their deal flow. And so you have to maintain yourself in their vision so that if and when they are free, they can turn to you. Or maybe perhaps later on down the line, they meet some other VCs that would be happy to take you on. But all the while, as a startup, you need to do what you need to do, build your business, get profitable. Success attracts success. So once they bring some business to themselves and show that they can bend and turn, I'm loving this COVID, because the companies that are coming out of COVID have shown the world that in a tough situation, they can make things happen. And those, of course, that weren't able to bend, turn, or pivot are in the rearview mirror.
And I think you're absolutely right. The idea of the old paradigm being challenged is, of course, very clear. We have a number of forces that are coalescing and accelerating previous trends. We also have the evolution of technology itself. In other words, we are no longer in simple artificial intelligence environments and simple machine learning. We're now at advanced systems. We're now into different issues about mobility. 6-7 years ago, when you're talking to people about electric cars, they were still looking at you as if you came from Mars.
Yes.
Now, with the proliferation of electric cars around us, it is clear that Elon Musk created something unique.
Yes, and now we're applying it. For instance, there's one group that's based out of San Francisco. They are taking the public transit approach to electrification. And so what their project is doing is electrifying the entire city, at least in terms of the public transportation sector, and applying it to buses, taxis, and electrical charging stations. And they're looking for capital for that project, for instance.
That is absolutely wonderful. I mean, clearly you're at the forefront of many aspects of startup grind, and I want to thank you for that. We typically wrap up our conversations by indicating that we would love to help you if you need any of our help, if you need any support from us. We come from backgrounds very similar to yours, and we have seen the good, the bad, and the ugly as well. Yes. So the opportunity is always around the corner, and we're always hunting for the silver lining.
Definitely. Thank you. I appreciate it. You guys are doing great work. I love it.
Well, so I have one question related to your experience and what you're doing, and then I have a last question that we ask everybody. So now earlier you were talking about movements, the social movements, and George was just speaking about Tesla and emerging tech. And we've spoken about how we're in a whole different revolution. So there's a reason why like Tesla didn't come out of my state, Michigan.
Right.
Like we've got automotive here, but we don't have the mindset for it. There's a reason why it didn't come out of Germany or Austria. It could only be born in the Bay Area. But of course, there's also a reason why my state supports Tesla in a great fashion, because we have that mindset. Can you speak to us about what it's like and to work with so many different markets and their mindsets? And is there a generational new optimism and busyness? What we're seeing in 2021, we're not expecting like as much deal flow to come out of the big hubs anymore. So are you just sitting on like a powder keg of opportunity? Like, is that?
Basically, I think it's a bottleneck, yes, because nothing's happened in the past year. So the investors are ready to go.
Well, these regions have been overlooked for at least a generation, as you're talking about, right?
Definitely.
It's not like they haven't been innovating. It's not like they haven't been brilliant. It's just that they haven't been paid attention to, right?
Exactly. And so my thesis is basically that the answers for the long-lasting battery for say cell phone technology, it's out there in Africa, it's out there in South America, it's out there in deep India. I don't know where, I don't know what it is. I'm not your technical founder of any sort. I don't, show me your computer. I have no idea what to do with it outside of using it. I'm a user of computer technology, but I dig. I dig for things. I'd like turnips. We're not truffles. I'm a big truffle hunter.
The last question that we always ask is, so we have the global network of Startup Grind directors. They love these check-ins with fellow participants in the ecosystem because they want to get to know you, like what who you are behind what activities you're doing. And you're an ecosystem builder. What can the global collection of directors do for you, Fernando?
Oh gosh, it just if they. So what I tell people is of myself is I'm looking for opportunities mainly for Latin American and African startups. Also within the country, I love female forward companies, taking them to match make them with female VCs and VC organizations. Impact, oh gosh, I adore impact innovations. So anything of that sort, please bring it. If it's innovation, I'm there. If it's the nanotechnology and what is it? The deep science stuff, I really can't wrap my mind around. For instance, there's this one group, they just brought me, it's a consortium that's blended between a Mexican and Dutch company. They're doing electricity generation using gravity. I still don't understand it, but they're using gravity to produce it. And I'll still present it to investors. If they know it, that's great, but I don't. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for anything that will make things better.
Great. George, any
Thank
last
you.
thoughts?
No, absolutely. I just want to thank Fernando once again, and just ask him to stay for a couple of minutes after this interview. But it is great to get to know you, Fernando, and I'm sure we'll have the opportunity to collaborate on lots of things going in the future.
That sounds fantastic. I thank you for your time, and Corey, thank you, George, for allowing me on this stage. This is again an honor and a privilege.
That is all ours. It's our privilege and our honor to have you. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful week.